Hello everyone, it's Connal Finlay here, the owner and director of the Cellar store down in New Zealand, and welcome to today's episode of the Cellar TV. So today what we're trying is a wine from one of the absolute Spanish legendary producers. It's from R Lopez Heredia Vina Tondonia, or what I usually just call them is Vina Tondonia. So this is their Reserva Rioja. It's from Rioja. It's their Reserva Tinto, and this particular red wine is from the 2004 vintage. Here's a little close-up for you. Beautiful bottle, and this particular vintage, it's got 75% Tempranillo and 15% Grenache, and 10% is the other 10% is made up of Graziano and Mezzuelo. And so those are quite common sort of grape varietals that you'll find in the Rioja region. But of course, Tempranillo is the leading grape varietal here, and a little bit of Grenache. They just add a little bit of sort of spiciness, a little bit of leatheriness, and also a little bit of acidity. So if you're not familiar with Vina Tondonia, then I highly recommend that you look these guys up. They're absolute jolly legends in their own right, and what's so exciting is that they've been around for over 150 years now, and they're well into their 4th or 5th generation, I think, now. And one of the interesting sort of producers, because they're actually still making wines, both their white wines and their red wines, in the same sort of style and way. So very sort of classic, producing in the same sort of style, as I say, since they sort of began, where most people are becoming more sort of high-tech and very sort of clean and precise and very sort of scientific in many ways. These guys are very romantic, as it were, as far as winemaking is concerned. That's not to say that their wines are sort of faulty and all the rest. No, not at all. These wines, they're very sort of, there's subtle sort of oxidative process and all the rest, which allows for these wines to really sing. And what's really interesting in particular, as I said, this is from the 2004 vintage, and right here, right now, we're in 2017, so this is the current release, and we'll see the 2005 next year, perhaps, or perhaps even the year after that. But generally speaking, these wines, they are, as I said, they spend a couple of years in oak, so they're really a few years in oak, to really make sure that their oxidative process is sort of gentle and subtle, and you start to get all these really interesting sort of nutty aromatics, both into the reds and the white wines that they produce. But also they have quite a bit of extended bottle age, as you can tell, because it's about, sort of 12 years after, 13 years after. I had to do the math there in my head. 13 years after, here in 2017. So it's got quite a bit of extended bottle age as well in the cellar, which means that it is really just ready to drink as soon as you sort of pick it up from the bottle store, or of course online. All the information is of course below. Anyway, so this is sort of their hallmark, read and often quoted, and rightly so, often quoted as basically the leading Rioja Tinto, or in fact one of the leading red wines in all of Spain. So anyway, let's give it a little sniff. Oh, and again, just because I always like to make sure we've noted this, is that we have decanted this an hour and a half ahead of time. The white wine, which we were trying last week, which is absolutely fantastic, that we actually decanted for 2 hours beforehand. This, of course, can do with quite a bit of decanting because it is a red wine, but I find at least an hour and a half, that's sort of, it's a decent amount of time. Anyway, so right on the nose, straight off the bat. This has got a whole bunch of really ripe boysenberry characteristics, and boysenberry for me, that is very much a Rioja sort of nose. So boysenberry, quite a bit of blackberry as well, but really sort of rich and concentrated, almost like dried boysenberries and dried blackberries. There's lots and lots of sort of rich and sort of dried, as I say, concentrated sort of fruit flavors here. So then you get quite a bit of sort of that blackened vanilla bean aromatic. And so there is quite a bit of primary fruit here, as I said. So there's boysenberries, there's black currants, a little bit of blackberry happening here. Sort of like a dried or sort of freeze-dried blueberry powder as well. So very sort of complex and, as I say, quite sort of intense aromatics. sort of purple and sort of black fruit flavors. And then that sort of nuttiness comes through. So you do start to get a little bit of sort of like a shortbready sort of note coming through, sort of that toasted note, sort of like toasted rye bread in many, many respects. That's sort of that leathery and spicy note starts to really, really come through. You're getting quite a lot of sort of toasted clove, sort of dried herbs, toasted herbs and things like this. Quite a bit of sort of rosemary, a little bit of oregano. Anyway, so a lot is going on. Let's give it a taste. It's nice and dry. I've got a fair bit of tannin here, but not too much. It is quite full-bodied, that's for sure. Absolutely very, very, very full-bodied. And has got sort of medium to high tannin, so nothing too dramatic. They are quite drying, but then again, the drying tannins are very, very well balanced, not just with the acidity, but the very, very sort of concentrated and rich fruit, which adds a little bit of sort of fruit sweetness as well, which is nice, so it doesn't appear too sort of drying, cloying, or anything else like this. So overall, this is nice, juicy, rich sort of red wine. Again, those same sort of flavors coming through, a lot of those sort of blackberries, black currants, very much that sort of dried and candied sort of boysenberry flavor comes through, as well as quite a bit of fresh boysenberry flavors. And those spicy notes, especially for me. There's sort of this caramel and sort of toffee note coming through, this sort of dark toffee, those sort of maple sort of flavors coming through. Just a little bit in the background there, so it really adds its extra dimension to the red wine. Sort of toasty and spicy and sort of sweet and interesting aromatic there. Of course, primarily it is that big sort of fruitiness coming through from those purple and black fruit flavors, but there is a lot of complexity sort of lingering in the background. And as I say, why I say I decanted it for so long, an hour and a half ahead of time, is because it allows all those beautiful sort of interesting nutty and caramelized sort of flavors to really come up to the forefront when you are sort of tasting and smelling it as well. So anyway, this has been the absolutely incredible Vina Tondonia. This has been their Reserva, Rioja, their Tinto from the 2004 vintage. Absolutely stunning. And so I highly, highly recommend that you grab yourself a bottle or two of these today. We've also got the Magnums. Currently, we've got a couple of the 2003 and a couple of the 2004 Magnums up for sale on our website, which is very exciting. And as I said, pick up a bottle now. It is ready to drink now, but this will also go really, really well in your cellar for another sort of 10, 20, perhaps even 30 years, but I'd say probably another 15 years, and it's really going to be singing even more so than it is now, which is very exciting. So please do, all the information is below about what we've been tasting, a link to our website. And so please do like away, comment away. We want to hear if you've tried this particular wine or any of the other vintages from Vina Tondonia here, one of these absolute stunning Rioja producers. And of course, please do subscribe, that's much appreciated. And check out a few of the other videos that we've got online. We've got a whole bunch of other sort of Spanish tasting videos and USA tasting videos and all the rest. And please do share away with all your other friends and family. I think I'm going to try or drink the rest of this glass because it's absolutely stunning. But anyway, here's to you. Cheers.